Welcome to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. Build Your Best Business focuses on the entrepreneurial journey. What does it take to successfully start, manage, grow, and eventually exit a business? Today, we're coming to you from the Harbor Entrepreneur Center in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm talking with Sam Staley. He is the CEO and founder of Bidr, and that's B-I-D-R.
That's right.
No E, and not bitter.
Yes.
Like
we are not bitter. We got that early on. Yes, I'm very happy.
Well, my company's Lattering Works, and all the time people want to call it lattering,
right.
Like L-A-T-T-E-R, and they're like, no, it's bad enough that it's lattering, like
right.
lattering, not it. So tell us a little bit about Bidr for people who don't know what it is.
Sure. So Bidr, I guess the easiest way is I like to say we're the Eventbrite for fundraising events. So we're a full event management platform to help fundraising events raise more money at their event. So we, of course, do the event ticketing for them, but we also tie that into all the other software features we have. Our core product is silent auctions, so we run that start to finish. Of course, we facilitate live auctions, raffles at these types of events. We've really started to grow into lots of different types of events. We do a lot of Dancing with the Stars type models now, lip sync battles, voting events, if you will. And then we've actually had some MLS teams pick us up recently and do like auction jerseys where you bid on the jersey of your favorite player on the field.
Oh, wow.
So some really cool formats we're playing with to just really help fundraisers do really cool and new stuff and make more money while they do it.
Okay. So this is definitely a category that could use some, disruption.
For sure.
Because I've been to a couple of these silent auction events, and you always feel like maybe they should have started it earlier before you get there because you don't know what you're bidding on,
and you're waiting in line to get there, and waiting in line to get out,
right? And then you don't know where you are in that, and what's going to be popular or not. So, where did the idea come up from?
It actually started with my kids' school. So my kids go to Sullivan's Island Elementary here, local to Charleston, and there was a year when my wife was on the committee. And it was a paper auction, as a lot of them are. And I just was watching them meet and do their thing and shuffle papers and stack and do. And I couldn't help but go over there and try to fix their process. So my background, it's sorted. I've done lots of things, but a lot of them involved software and application development. So I said, gosh, we all have a phone in our pocket. Yeah. Can't we just text a bid in instead of writing it on this paper?
Right. Well, and you want to keep up with it. And some of my experiences in that space were at schools too.
Yes.
All of the grades had created TV trays, and they had decorated them by the different SEC football teams.
Yeah.
And my wife is an Auburn fan. Sure. My wife is an Auburn fan. And so my daughter and I found one, and it was an Auburn TV tray. And I think I walked up to it and bid like $50 just to leave, so everybody would leave it alone. Right. Because I was like, don't want to have to come back and find out because you can't keep up. Because we then did that, and then somebody
blocking it out.
Yeah, and somebody walked by and they're like, somebody bid $50. I'm like, it's a fundraiser, and I don't want you to purchase it. So, and I have no idea how else to keep up with it. I'm about to leave. So
you just locked it in. Right?
Yeah, I locked it in.
That's right.
So
yeah, for sure. And that is what we do, right? So we, what we focus on is creating more engagement at these events, and one of those tools is to text you when you've been outbid to notify you and say, hey, get back in here and re-engage.
And I could see that getting you more money, because if somebody came in at 51, I was going to go to 55.
It does, and you hit all the points really. So that increased engagement, we just like to say one more bid, one more bid, one more bid.
Right.
We, of course, allow our events to open it early now and bid remotely, keep it open later because we're not having to shuffle paper. So all these things together really help you raise more money. And make it more fun and easy for your attendees.
And it also seems it would be easy. I mean, in those experiences, you can't get the product until you pay, but at least the collection might be easier.
That's right. Yeah, we actually now, so, in the beginning, that was it. We said, can we just text these things? And we tried it.
Yeah.
And it worked really well, that first event. And that's all it was texting. And at the end, we still had to figure out how do we pay and all this stuff. But they ended up doubling their money. And at that point, I said, wow, this could really be a thing. So I said, let's just put a name on it and do another one. Yeah. And we did. And 3 years later, we're still doing events.
Because there's a difference. Like I told you, I had a similar experience. I walked in, and I'm a process guy too. Right. So I looked at it and thought, this is a broken process. But I didn't go off and build a business around it. So.
Well, I guess that's the curse of us entrepreneurs, right? We like to dive in without thinking about where we're going sometimes.
Yeah. So what had you done before?
Gosh, I always say my past is sorted in a good way. Okay. I went to the Citadel.
Oh,
I was a
okay.
psychology major.
That's an interesting mix.
My intent was to go to law school. I got into law school, and I think there's a pattern. Once I proved myself I can do something, I'm not as interested anymore.
Yeah.
So I actually took a job managing loan portfolios for banks. Did that for a while. Went from there to be a stockbroker. And one afternoon, as a stockbroker, I needed Wi-Fi connectivity in town on the way to a client. There was none. And that afternoon, I quit and started a company building metropolitan scale wireless networks.
Okay, I was going to say you had a break or
seeing
something, right?
something that needs to be fixed and just going right into fixing it.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, and so I've been kind of doing application development for a long time now.
Okay, yeah.
So it lends itself to easily kind of trying things out.
Yeah, and were you doing other companies at the point you put this together, or did this become the one thing?
Yeah, well, I've been doing consulting for a long time. That consulting usually leads to some sort of application development project. I've had a couple of teams together. Actually managed 600 guys in Costa Rica for a while. Lived down there. That was a lot of fun. But for the past long time, I've been just around software.
Yeah.
So now it's really easy to see something and be able to spin up a little test for it really quickly.
Yeah. I went to North Georgia College in Dahlonega, so military college too.
I grew up in Newnan, Georgia.
Did you? Yeah. Okay. And we had a bunch of ex-Citadel people.
Okay, great. Yeah. Yeah, it's military there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. There were at that point 4 ROTC colleges there. I think there are a few more now.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of this. Like, I mean, I talk about like entrepreneurial journey. What are some things from your past that you learned before you got into this one? Somebody else, because people see these problems to solve, and
sure.
There's this whole thing about entrepreneurs being rock stars, and you should go ahead and do this.
It's a glorious life from the outside. Living it from the inside, it's not so much.
Yeah. So what were some of the things that from your past that helped you make this one successful? Like, what did you do first?
Yeah, I definitely think you build on all the things you've learned from the past. I think you learn when to get out sometimes is a very valuable lesson so that you can go to the next thing quicker. It's really cliche, but everyone says learn to fail fast.
Yeah.
And I think you learn that over time. It's just get it over with, figure out if you can do it, if you can't, and if you can't, move on, right?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like with Bidr that you started off with kind of a lo-fi version of it, because it seems, looking at the website, looking at the background,
that's right.
It's much more kind of was so that lo-fi was is your test case? Yeah,
well, it really wasn't anything. Literally, I just wanted to help. I just didn't want to look at those papers on the table for that one event. And that's really where it started. I had no intention of doing anything other than that until it really worked well and they made a lot of money. And they wanted to do it again. And so I said, if you want to use it again, I have a real issue with things being ugly. So I have to let me take a little time, pretty it up, make it actually a real thing, and then you can use it. And so then it was out in the world, and people started to see it. I actually got invited to participate in an accelerator, and did that. And I guess that really helped spur it on too, just to take a little focus and go, let's really see if this thing has legs.
Okay. And so people at the event saw application for it outside and they were asking you for it?
It was more, the people, of course, thought it was cool. But, other organizations saw it and said, wow, they raised a lot more money because of that. Can we use it? Can we use it? And that's kind of the beauty of this also is we have this built-in marketing model of every event we do exposes us to 600 new people.
Right.
A small portion of which are associated with their own events,
and
they just spread it to their own. So it grows really organically.
Yeah, so you got demand without necessarily going through.
To date, we still don't have any sales folks,
wow.
And we've just started doing a little bit of marketing. So we run real lean. We've been lucky to have a nice grassroots organic growth path so far.
It's really interesting because I see lots of different businesses and the focus on very heavily on sales and then figuring out the product later or creating the product, and then so you're sort of more on that side where you've got something that people have then organically pushed along. Yeah,
it has. I think I wouldn't say to just bet on that. I think there's a little bit of lightning striking there when you get that to happen really easily. But I guess I had to sum it up. You might hear this a lot around here because I've probably heard it in these hallways. Is sell the ghost. So
right.
I'm all about just get somebody to buy it and then figure out how to deliver it, right? So that's kind of where I come from.
And in my experience, that's always been, I always told my salespeople, I'm like, sell it.
Right.
If you can sell it, I'll build it.
Right.
Or that's we'll exactly service
right.
it.
Yes.
But sell it first. and if you can sell it to somebody, then
that's much better than building lots of things and them sitting there. Right.
Yeah, right. Yes, that excess capacity or that product that nobody wants to take off the shelf.
That's right.
All right, we're going to go to commercial break. And when we get back, I want to talk a little bit about kind of lessons, like things that you've learned. What made you? How did you decide what you were going to do next with it? Because you're kind of like carrying it along, but how much do you feed it, and when do you sort of let it sit for a while?
This will be interestingly introspective, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit of a balance between those, right? So, and how you, if you're, there are two types of entrepreneurs. There's sort of squirrel, so everything they see is a good idea and they want to add it as a feature or function. And then there's like dog with a bone, right? Like I've got this thing and we're going to do it this way. So a little bit about that when we get back.
Sure.
So we're talking today with Sam Staley. He is with Bidr. You're listening to Build Your Best Business. We're coming to you from Charleston at the Harbor Entrepreneur Center. We'll be back in just a minute.
Eric, tell us about Laddering Works.
So Laddering Works is a company that helps other businesses in one of two ways.
Okay.
So your company is either growing and you're not exactly sure how to keep up. So you need to scale operations, maybe raise some money, those kind of things.
So growing too fast.
Growing too fast. Growing too fast. You got kind of structural, you walk in every day, there's a fire. You've been doing it longer than 3 years or 1,000 days, and you still feel like you can't step away from the business and take a vacation. So we help companies on that side. So sort of operational support, looking at their financing, seeing if there's a way that we can help them, get to the next level. Or you're a company that's not doing any marketing at all. So you are maybe stalled. Your business has gotten to a certain level. You make a certain amount of money every year, but you've never gotten above that. And we come in and build marketing structure. So both of them are operational at the end of the day. It's about creating a process and a way to approach it that's strategic. It's that owners don't often know how to do both of those. So they're really good at sales, which means they may need operational structure because they're out signing more customers than they know what to do with. Or they've built a beautiful product that's the best kept secret. And so they need somebody to come in and help them market that product. And so that's the kind of businesses we look for. We come in as a stopgap and we work with a company for somewhere around 12 to 18 months typically, solve those problems for them and leave them better than we found them. Welcome back to Build Your Best Business. I'm your host, Eric Holtzclaw. We're talking today with Sam Staley. He is with Bidr, and we're coming to you from the Harbor Entrepreneur Center out of Charleston, South Carolina. So, Sam, the interesting thing about your background is, this isn't your first rodeo.
Right.
You've done this a little bit, right?
A little bit. That's right. Well, that's right.
And so, that can be good and bad. Mm-hmm. Because I love, and I've written about this before, how ignorance is bliss.
That's right.
You get into something and you're just like, I didn't know I couldn't do it.
Right.
One of my favorite stories is this catering company that started in Atlanta, and the guy who started it just liked to cook.
Right.
And, he didn't know how to run a catering company, and they ended up this really successful catering company, and they did turkeys at Thanksgiving and all this other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And everybody would have told him, you should fail.
Sure.
Right. And then the longer we've been in this space, you see things and you're like, I'm never going to do that again.
Right.
And, you become a little risk adverse to some of that stuff.
Right.
So how do you balance feeding this idea versus how you decide when you're going to not?
Yeah. I guess I would sum it up by saying I haven't learned to quit yet. I have fun with it. I do have fun. It's lots of work and some days are really hard, but I still at the end of the day have a lot of fun with it. Before the break, you talked about, are you the kind of dogged, stay after the path, or squirrel, shiny object kind of thing? And I'm a lot of both, actually. I love to kind of think about new ways to attack a problem and do it. But sometimes I surround myself with others to say, let's do that later, right? Let's focus and go. So it's a lot of both. And I kind of internally struggle with managing that a lot because my mind's always going on the next thing, right?
Yeah. And so as you think about features and functions, because I mean, there's got to be a development piece for what you're doing, right? So that's when you're making a real investment in the product.
Yeah. I mean, for us, we like to let the market tell us what it wants. So, we might have an idea for what we think will be a good feature, and we've tried it and have been wrong many times. So I think you do learn to just get something out there, get somebody to give you $1 for a thing, and then let the market tell you how to grow it and what they want out of it. So we've gotten pretty good at that. And luckily, we can go really fast and try something out and then scale back and go another direction if we need to.
Yeah. So do you launch stuff do you have certain customers you give things to first to see if they're going to like it, or is it give it to everybody and just see if it works?
Yeah. I mean, usually what we do is we kind of say, we've heard enough people want this that we'll build it. Yeah. Or they wanted to build something we wanted to build, so let's just do it anyway. But usually we'll end up kind of letting...
so the customer will come to you and ask for a feature that you think you could sell to other people.
And if enough people want the same thing, we know we can sell it and we'll build it for them. Right. So our model with this current company anyway is just, we're transaction based. So we don't charge for features or upsell. It's just, we just build it and it becomes part of the product.
Yeah, yeah. And so you're making money as it relates to the things being purchased and bought.
That's
and
correct.
All that kind of stuff. Okay.
That's right.
And is so organizations, you talked about schools. Are there what are other types of organizations?
Really anybody raising money. We work with a ton of schools. We work with larger American Cancer. We do a lot of events for ALS, lots of junior service leagues. So it really runs the gamut. Like I said, some MLS have found us recently and they're doing these jersey auctions at the game. Some hockey teams have started to do that. So it's really anyone raising money. I like to joke and say, we've built our software to be self-sign-up, self-managed, so anyone can come build any event for anything. So if Uncle Larry died 3 years ago, we want to have a golf tournament, we're there for you.
Okay, so it is very, you talked about eBot, I think, earlier. So it is that kind of concept of I can set up anything.
Our dream is to hold 100 events this weekend and never know they happened, right? Yeah. So we're getting there.
So you're definitely working on your business and not in it.
That's right.
Yeah. So you come in and you're like, wow, we did this many.
We made some money over the weekend. That's great.
Nice. Yeah. That's so self-service and being able to like the user interface. That's and that experience is very important.
That's absolutely right.
So how do you test for that?
Again, we build it. We always put a big focus on, and it's me, I should say, I'm really big on things looking beautiful and making them enjoyable to use. So we a lot of times start there and sometimes probably spend too much on that, but I think it's important. If software looks like it's from 1995, no one in this era will want to use it. Right. So we put a big focus on making it look really nice and be really intuitive and easy and fun to use.
I guess I'm curious, like feedback loop, right? So you could put a feature or function out, and because it's part of a system, people don't know how to use it and they don't know how to tell you they don't know how to use it. So are you going back when people have used a feature and talking to them about it?
Yeah, we always debrief every event, actually. Okay. So, I mean, we are self-sign up. We joke and say we don't want to talk to anyone, but we always do. We actually onboard events really well. And then we always talk to every event and go, how did it go? Did you raise the money expected? What can we do better? So we're always getting that feedback, and it's usually directly with them. Yeah. And of course, we can watch the use, and we have lots of software tools to do that. But there's nothing that substitute kind of talking to your customer and hearing how they saw what your vision of the product was.
Yeah, how did you interpret what I put together? You're in Charleston. So you're not in what's considered a tier 1 city.
That's right. We're the rise of the rest.
The rise of the rest, right? I like
shout
that.
Out to a partner of ours.
So tell me about that. What's that like? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big movement now, and I'm all on board with it. So we kind of got not sucked into it. I mean, it's been a great journey, but I guess a year and a half, 2 years ago now, we had the opportunity to kind of pitch to Steve Case, founder of AOL, through their Rise of the Rest tour, and kind of got picked, and we're a partner of them now. They invest a little bit of money in the company, and so now we're kind of on that train. And their whole idea is there are all of these second-tier cities and third-tier cities maybe that people don't look at as these growth centers, but there's lots of stuff happening, and they're all about kind of supporting that. And you're starting to see the resources and funds move out of where you would think these things need to happen and pour into cities like Charleston and Nashville and Atlanta.
Yeah. And what is that you think is missing in those ecosystems? Is it funding? Because that's what we hear being from Atlanta.
Definitely
that's what we
the
hear all
funding.
time.
So for me, on the funding side, that's where it's not that I don't get as excited about that. I like to kind of just do fun stuff and build and go. The fundraising for me takes a little bit of eye off the ball. It's fun to go pitch and do, and I love the exhilaration of that. But in previous lives, I've had companies and I knew this is the money we need for a very specific thing. And I know the guy who will write the check, and I just go talk to that guy, right? So in more recent terms, it's been more about, and really kind of wanting that experience for myself of doing that kind of pitch circuit and pitching to groups and investment groups and angels and VCs. And it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work.
And it's another job.
It is absolutely a full-time job. In Charleston, you don't get the multiples you hear about out there in Dreamland. It's a little more reality.
Unicorn Universe.
It is Unicorn Universe out there. When you watch whatever I forget the show, but
Silicon Valley.
Yeah, Silicon Valley.
That's Isaac's favorite show.
If I can, whoever you are watching this, don't bet on those multiples. Right? Be more realistic. So there's a little bit of that, but I think I can only speak to Charleston. I visit a lot of these other cities, but there's lots of activity going on in Charleston. There's lots of people coming here. I don't think we're quite there yet with the funding, but we're getting there pretty quickly, luckily.
Yeah. So for future for Bidr, future for you, is there another problem you've seen in the world that you absolutely have to fix?
I'm not allowed to talk about them, but yes, I'm always kind of looking. I have them on the side burner, but if my partner's watching, we are focused. No, I really am still excited about Bidr, and it is what I am driving forward really, really hard right now. We, about a year ago, partnered with Blackballed. They're kind of the 800-pound gorilla in the nonprofit universe, so that's exciting for us, and it's really given us a nice push in the arm. And we're going super fast right now. We've just turned on lots of new kind of marketing and SEO and all the stuff. Now that our product is mature, we're kind of switching gears to a sales focus over product focus, and just are going fast on that end now. And our goal is to just turn on lots and lots of events.
So from that, I work with companies that either are really great operationally and maybe not so great at marketing and sales, or they may be great at marketing, sales, and not operational. So as you turn that on, how do you make sure that doesn't outstrip your capacity? Do you feel like that?
Well, we've gotten really good at it. We've spent lots of time figuring out how to talk to our people. And for us, it's work to just be genuine. So we spend a lot of time. We do a lot of email marketing. We started doing a lot of focus on our SEO and how are people finding us. But for us, we don't send out a lot of marketing emails. We just kind of figure out how can we automate our internal processes and talk to people directly. So I send a lot of emails from me, just a sentence saying, see you guys raising money, we'd like to help you raise more.
Yeah.
And those sorts of really simple communications have really worked for us. We get really great response rate versus some email campaign with pretty emails and pictures and stuff that most of us ignore, right?
Right.
So we've gotten really good at that. And again, we're driving people to say, we're here for you, go sign up.
Yeah.
And we'll be here to hold your hand as much as you want, but we believe in you and think you can do it on your own.
Yeah.
So we can really scale that.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. I'm glad you guys had me. This has been great.
Yeah. So we've been talking today with Sam Staley. He is with Bidr. That is BIDR. You've been listening to Build Your Best Business. We're coming to you from the Harbor Entrepreneur Center in Charleston, South Carolina, focusing on what it takes to really get a business up and running. And Sam's done a good job of thinking about that. It's a real business model and got revenue coming in that grow off of that. Until next time, what are you going to do to build your best business?